Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar by Exotel. So today, the webinar that we have is on leapfrogging, compliance, and scalability, paving the way for next-gen contact centers. So in this session, we'll try to dig a little deeper into the practical challenges that modern enterprises face and the expectations that they have with cloud contact center software, and how this can help the modern organizations drive improved revenue. While we discuss this, we'll also talk a little more about scale, resilience, compliance, and how enterprises can achieve all of these with a competitive and comprehensive contact center software. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our panelists. We have Ujjwal Sinha, Head of Growth and Offline Marketing at Cast24, and Prince Singh, VP of Product Management at Exotel. Very warm welcome, Ujjwal and Prince. With that, I would request Ujjwal to share a few words about himself. Over to you, Ujjwal.
Hey, hi, and thank you so much, Sanchita, for the warm welcome. I look after marketing at Cast24. I've been with them for the last 4.5 years now, and have been into the automobile industry, worked very closely with Exotel over the last 4.5 years. I think we'll be talking a lot around that. But yeah, so far, so good. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ujjwal. Over to you, Prince.
Thanks, Sanchita. So, hi, this is Prince, and I have been spending most of my time, professional time, 18 years almost, building contact centers. So I was working, I'm working with Ameo, and now Ameo has merged with Exotel, and we are now building the next set of communication applications, including contact center, and we're going to talk a lot about it today.
Great. Thanks, Prince and Ujjwal. I think we are all set, and the audience was eagerly waiting to hear from you. So let's just get started. The first question to you, Ujjwal, what do you see as the most common challenges that enterprises face today when it especially comes to operating and managing their contact centers?
Well, lots of them actually. I think an inherent debate around should we stick to our own core competencies and outsource this piece, or should we have it in-house? I think, and that all stems from a lot of other small issues like infra management. Who's going to do that? Do we have the experts to do that? How would we scale up and down considering the rapid changes that we make in our business models? What is it that is required for monitoring? What is better, an on-site monitoring, a remote monitoring? How do we go around the compliance issues? And then, the changing world of the customers, where, they expect us to be present as an organization. They expect us to be present and address all their queries on all channels, and that is where it gets really tricky, because giving all the answers on omni channels across one vendor, that's quite a challenge, coming up to the customer expectations there. Then, of course, and like I said, I talked about 4-5 points there, but I think it all starts from what is your core competency. At Cast24, I would look at my core competencies dealing in cars rather than managing contact centers. Now, I come from a startup background, and the startup world does keep changing their business propositions, and there are a lot of new requirements that we keep adding. We keep testing new models, etc., etc. That requires a lot of scaling up, scaling down, and that is where that inherent question comes. Are we the experts at doing this, or should we set it up with somebody else? Then there's a small issue of compliance. You go out, you get your TRAI regulations, you look at them, you get your own certifications there. Do you want to get into that? Do you don't want to get into that? So lots of challenges, and when we look at those things, then there's also a small angle of cost benefit analysis is done. You say operational efficiencies, how do we measure those? So a lot of it comes across as what are your core competencies, and what do you want to do around, and how do you want to run your business? So those are a few challenges. Of course, there are more, but those are the bigger ones which needs a lot of addressing to do and a lot of, mental bandwidth that you have to put in there and take the challenges upfront over there. Of course, the but obvious answer, if you look at it from a third person view, would be, why would you want to outsource your own process and why not run it yourself? But again, like I said, it's around your core competencies. What is your core competency? And I would leave that to the experts. I think Exotel till today has worked well with us. So and we've been happy doing that. So yeah, that's around it. I think those are more or less a lot of challenges, and it all starts right from the day you think around this.
Thanks, Ujjwal. Now, talking about cloud-based contact center solutions, right? And so also the transition, from on-premise to cloud-based contact center solutions. So when we look at, the businesses today, how are businesses in India approaching the transition? So, and in this particular area, what kind of challenges are they facing?
Again, going back to the first answer that I gave you, looking at core competencies, which would include a lot of cost benefit analysis, etc., and then scaling up and down. When you look at cloud, and there was also this angle of COVID in between, which brought a work from home angle to everything there, right? Now, when you look at it that way, I think we've been adapting well. See, cloud gives us a lot of flexibility, of course. It gives us a lot of flexibility around managing our workforce, but also it also brings down a lot of costs that are involved when it is compared to the on-premise infrastructure that typically people would have. And that also saves you a lot of trouble. It saves you a lot of efforts of owning the telephony, owning the infra, the entire server costs, etc., etc. And that, I think, in itself gives you a huge advantage. And I think we have been working on the cloud telephony systems for some time now, and we've just been able to manage our workforces pretty well. Then there's this entire talk about data security and compliance, and that's again something where cloud gives us a lot of flexibility and a lot of advantage. So those things, yes, it comes with its own challenges, I think, but the challenges are more in the mind than the actual challenges being there. Change management is something which not everybody wants to do. Not everybody wants to change. The first thing which comes to mind is, why go out of the traditional modes? But the kind of flexibility that cloud management gives you, I think I would take that any day. So yeah, that's the overall gist of it. I think, while the transition from on-premise to cloud-based contact center solutions offers many benefits, businesses also have to be aware of the potential challenges and then take the proactive steps to mitigate them. This might include investing in security and compliance measures, upgrading the infrastructure as needed, and then providing comprehensive training and support to the employees to, to mitigate the change management point, which I just brought in. So yeah, so I think we've been adapting well. Hopefully, India just takes up on the trend.
Great.
I remember.
Yeah, sure.
I remember long ago, me and Ujjwal were chatting about a business problem that Cast24 was trying to solve, and I think Ujjwal is going to speak about it later on today. But I remember Ujjwal talking about this core competency, and we were speaking about a problem, and I said this has to be done, this has to be done, this has to be done, and Ujjwal said, who is going to do this? I said that either you could build it, or you could use these 3 features from our product itself, and you're done. And a long discussion, sort of a workshop, just ended up with that, and we were on our way to actually solving that problem rather than talking about it. So yeah, that it just reminded me of that anecdote back from when Cast24 had just started to scale up really rapidly.
Yeah. See, we were in a growth phase at that point of time, and I had a choice to make. Should I follow that and then look into my core competencies of transacting cars, or setting up call center? And I think Prince just saved my life there.
Yeah, happy to be part of this journey, Ujjwal, and learning a lot about buying and selling cars all this while. And I'm a happy Cars24 customer as well. You know this multiple times over. So I'm happy to be powering that journey that consumers, sellers, and buyers of cars happen to take Cars24.
Great. I mean, thanks for that insight, Prince. So, Ujjwal, you mentioned about your collaboration with Exotel, and so could you please touch upon some of the problems that you've been able to solve with Exotel's contact center solution?
Yeah, I think there's an entire case study on your site around that, and I was very happy to have put it over there. But when we started off, I remember back in 2018, we had basic problems. We had visits on the website. We could not touch the customers in time. I think that was leading to low conversions. The scales, we were struggling with scaling up the business at that point of time. The turnaround times were huge. And of course, like any growth hungry startup, we were looking at improved revenues, etc., And I think that's where this was a life changer for us. We just put in the solutions, and then we built it in a way where we said let's go customer first. If a customer is researching, and the customer attention span these days is hardly anything, and we said when he's researching, he's done a research, there would be a moment of inactivity, and we want to reach out to the customer when he wants, and we are in his attention span, and that played like magic for us. I think our lead conversions got better, I think, by around 2x. I remember going from lead to conversion at 11% to some 23%, 24% at that point of time. And we measure marketing here as the number of car inspections that we do. Of course, the final transactions do come in, but they are a function of the inspections. And on that measure, I think we improved by around 4x. Of course, because I was touching the customers when I was into their attention span, and that is when the customer has most intent. So while the top of the funnel increased by 2x, by my funnel in between improved so much that the end results were around 4x. So I went up from 3,500 odd inspections to 12,000, 13,000. We're still doing around 20,000 odd inspections through your product. And the turnaround time of touching the customer went down from 24 hours to 4.5 minutes. What used to happen at that point of time was the customer would come to the website, look us up. We would get the leads in the evening, and then we would dial them up the next day, and that hurts conversion, right? And we just went instantaneously at that point of time. And eventually, if your funnel improves, that just leads to improved revenue. So thanks to, I think, the Exotel team, we've been on a very good growth trajectory that way, and that shows because we've continued the product. We've hardly made any changes to the product, by the way. Of course, we've kept on evolving, but the base of the product remains the same. And now that we have another line of business where we are also selling cars to the customers, we've maintained that DNA even today, and that has helped us multifolds.
Great. Thanks for that, Ujjwal. We look forward to many more years of continued collaboration with Cars24. So with that, we are going to talk about something that has been, creating a lot of buzz lately. We recently launched Ameo Xtreme, and there has been a lot of buzz around that. So we just wanted to understand more from Prince about Ameo Xtreme. What is Ameo Xtreme by Exotel? Prince, it just got launched, and we would want to hear more about it from you.
It's easy to understand Ameo Xtreme. It is basically a contact center technology with all the headaches removed. It's as simple as that, the way I like to put it. But yeah, to be very specific, it's a fully cloud solution. when I say fully cloud, there's absolutely zero on-prem infrastructure that businesses have to put in to really get going on a contact center, be it inbound, be it outbound, doing leads reach out like Cars24 and a lot of other companies, or maybe serving their customers on inbound coming customer service queries. You really don't need to put any infrastructure. The agents can actually start from browser itself. So that is the first and the foremost thing. So this was technically always possible for a long time now. However, there was ULVNO actually makes it regulatory compliant, the only regulatory compliant way of doing it. Exotel is a ULVNO license holder, and hence we are able to allow serving this product truly completely from the cloud, where the agents don't need to put in, be sitting on, or the organization don't need to put in any on-prem infrastructure like telco lines or SBCs or call servers, etc. And they don't need to deal with the telcos. We are the one-stop shop for everything related to contact center. Of course, for voice and for other channels also. Voice being more complex, voice being still the a necessary touch point in high-value transactions, a necessary touch point when things aren't going great. So customer service ends up necessarily being on voice. So we take care of all the headache there, and the customers, the businesses that are using our product don't need to really worry about all of this. Not just that, organizations can actually run very, very large operations, high number of agents, up to 20,000 agents on this, contact center solution. The scales very easily because it has been re-architected to be completely microservices, oriented, and which allows us to horizontally scale. So, actually adding more agents, if the capacity is hit, then we just need to add more nodes, and one can add more agents and start scaling up the operation. Same goes for scale down also. Businesses don't always only scale up. There's both fluctuations, and you don't need to be fixed with a specific size of infrastructure. So it both scales up, scales down. And to top it all, the entire reason of coming together, Exotel and Ameo coming together 2 years ago, was that Exotel already had a platform that could scale to a very high number of calls right now as we speak. During this webinar itself, we would have made several lakhs of calls already. So the Ameo now runs on top of the existing CPaaS platform that Exotel always had. We are powering around 35 million calls per day with that platform, and hence customers need to be worry-free about the scale up and all of that. That doesn't end there. There's a lot of talk about our favorite browser tab today, which is ChatGPT. So a lot of talk about AI in general, not just generative AI, but AI in general. So this entire solution is powered by AI. So you don't need to really put in human agents for each and everything, each and every transaction. AI is part of the product. So chatbots or bot to agent handover, or deflecting incoming IVR calls to bots instead of a human agent taking care of it. All that is possible and part of the product itself. And with that, because it's part of it's a packaged solution in itself. So you get an end-to-end experience, or not a broken experience, because of using multiple products to actually achieve that. So yeah, this is more or less about it. So if you have a challenge, a problem, a headache with the current contact center solution, we would have an answer to all of that. So happy to talk more about it.
On that note, Prince, we have a couple of questions from the audience on Extreme. Do we really need no on-prem infrastructure, or does the organization need to put telco lines and SBC on-prem and the rest is on cloud?
Good question. For a lot of prospects that we have been speaking, specifically people who are well experienced in this space, it is hard to imagine that in India we can do all of this completely on cloud. So you don't need an on-prem infrastructure. All you need is an internet connection and a laptop or a PC to actually get started. That's about it. To actually get started from one agent to 20,000 agents or even more, you don't need any infrastructure. We take care of the telco lines. We provide you the numbers. We provide you the billing for telephony usage, as well as obviously the application itself. So yeah, no, absolutely zero on-prem infrastructure. No fun, taking telco lines and then terminating it on your premises, then taking them all the way up to AWS or Azure and everything, and then bringing it back to your premises. There's no fun in doing this. We are the only ones who have a license, have an application, the platform, and the lines to actually do that in India. So yeah, there's absolutely zero infrastructure required on-prem.
Great. Thanks, Prince. We have another question from the audience, again, tying back to Extreme and also based on what Ujjwal mentioned about the challenges that enterprises face today. So how do you see Extreme fitting into the critical capabilities of modern cloud contact center software? And how does this resonate with the challenges enterprises face today?
Understood. So there are a lot of capabilities or boxes that Extreme ticks for our businesses, for our customers. I'll start with with an interesting example now that we have Ujjwal on this webinar. So I'll talk about this in a few of the so-called demos that I've given for the product. Usually out of coffee shops, walking in corridors of tech parks or anything, speaking to a customer or prospect, meeting somebody in a food court. The demo that I used to give is hop onto one of our customers' app or website like Cars24. And sorry, Ujjwal, for putting in a few leads that were not really useful. But dropping, signing up, to sell my car or buy a car, and then within minutes I would get a call with an agent knowing about the details of the car that I intend to sell or buy and talking about it. So this simple experience itself for people, for founders, for people taking care of business, people chasing numbers, marketing. This itself is a significant pull to invest in a product that can actually do this. Followed by the second step of the demo used to be, I would speak to the agent and say that I did leave my name and number there, but this is what I want to do, but I am not in a position to talk at length about it. This is my expectation, and if you can come back with what you have, but not today, on Saturday, because that's when I can talk. And I would drop. This used to be my prospect's number actually, and they would get a call again on Saturday, and usually the deal was done. So, all of this is possible because Ameo is not a point solution. Unfortunately, all other options that you have, in contact center space, in these geographies, you either get a point solution that runs from the cloud. When I say a point solution, it does one job, only one job well. So either doing a simple one-to-one call, or just receiving a basic incoming call or a basic IVR, but not all of the things together. So Ameo is both handles incoming, handles outbound, does dialer, extensive supervision, reporting, tight integration with CRMs, workflows, including, for example, Cars24 has, an extensive in-house CRM, a lot of automations also built on top of it, in-house by Cars24. Ameo sits nicely with it. So for the agents, it's a seamless experience. They know, what is this business about, and all. So summarizing, So the product solves all use cases: customer service, tele-sales, so IVR, predictive dialers, everything is in the product itself. It runs from the cloud, so no worries of setting up, expanding it, scaling it down if things are not going good, etc. So all of that is sorted, and all the beautiful and fancy innovations that you want to do using AI are possible on top of this product, either from our own offerings or from offerings by our partners, or the customers end up doing it themselves as well. So we have a host of customers who are doing magical things with, for example, the voice recordings that get generated from our product. They're compliant or not really compliant, but they are like in a way structured so that text to speech to text transcription, voice analytics, etc., can be carried out on top of that. So cloud use cases, scale, and AI. I think these are the critical capabilities that are worry of most contact centers today, and we tick all the boxes.
Great. Thanks for that, Prince. So coming back to you, Ujjwal, so we spoke about, some of the challenges. We spoke about, whatever Extreme has to offer. We, also heard from you in terms of how, Cast24 and Exotel collaborated, and we saw some good numbers as well. What trends are you seeing specifically in the customer experience space in India? And, from your experience, what are some of the opportunities you see for further innovation in this space when it comes to India?
See, cloud-based contact centers, undoubtedly, they're gaining significant traction. Of course, I touched upon this entire thing of work from home agenda, etc., etc. But that's more on the on the agent perspective, or even on, on the customer perspective. If you look at it, customers in India today, do they expect to be able to engage with businesses seamlessly across whatever preferred channel that they have? That would include voice, email, chat, social media, messaging apps, everything. And that is one reason I think why businesses are becoming increasingly adopting to the cloud-based contact center solutions. And the good part is they also offer omni-channel engagement capability. So that's one trend which is coming out pretty easy that we see. AI again, the use of AI again, that's becoming increasingly prevalent. I know Prince touched upon that just now. But then these technologies are being used to automate your processes and then provide that personalization to the customer, and that, of course, that does give you a lot of business results. Personalization works like nothing else. Agent performance optimization, again, that's again something which is just coming out pretty easy there. The analytics and reporting part of it, just incorporating advanced analytics there, and we are just becoming so data oriented these days. The organizations, the companies are becoming so data oriented that they want all kinds of analytics, all kinds of reporting, and I think that just helps in driving the overall contact center efficiencies also, right? And you take a lot of data driven decisions. As it's never bad to have data, as much data as possible, and you end up using and consuming everything. That's the other thing. I think then there's this small part of workforce optimization that we are looking at, which these tools are, of course, enabling businesses to optimize the agent productivity. We reducing handling times, because we are, again, you're going omni-channel. So those things are really coming out pretty nicely. Some potential areas where we would like to see some innovation, of course, and I've touched most of them, but again, personalization works like nothing else. Voice-based AI assistants, and I'm not talking about the mindless IVRs, but voice-based AI assistants. I think a lot of people do that beautifully, and that's something which gives amazing customer experience. Social media, I think the entire country is there. So collaboration with and then integrating with the social media platforms. I think these are a few trends, I think, which I'm seeing very clearly. Customers are everywhere. Customers want to be everywhere, and they want their resolutions. They want their their resolutions or their answers everywhere. So you, of course, have to be everywhere, and with just one partner, of course, that makes it very, very seamless.
Sure. Thanks, Ujjwal. Prince, from your experience, would you like to add something along the lines?
I just wish we also do a Cars 24 for real estate. If you could, do that transaction for real estate that fast, it would be really, really awesome. And we'd be happy to power that. But I had something to add. I think it was well talked about it, but I would just like to extend it. It has become, you don't get to, as a consumer, as an end consumer ourselves, while we are making a purchase decision or a sale decision, and or reaching out or have a problem with the product, there's some customer service query that we have, etc. We tend to not, speak to a human agent. That's what we are intent, and that's what our expectation is today. So which means that if at all one is intending to speak to an agent, this is now a very high value conversation that is going to happen. It is either a clarification on the sales offer, a negotiation that can close and end up being real business, or it could be an escalation about a customer service thing. It's only then when you get to speak to a human agent. So conversations have become more important than ever. Earlier, there were conversations for very, very mundane things as well. A lot of time I've had discussions with Ujjwal where he would be irritated about a lot of why are we doing calls about this topic at all. This should be handled automatically, and I think there are a lot of innovations that you have been able to put, Ujjwal, you and your team, brilliant work there. Now that it actually means the conversations are going to be even more important. Attach more value to each conversation now. Nobody's going to call to ask a balance or a rate of interest inquiry, or do you have this car or not? And nobody is going to really call about that. But people are going to call that, I was expecting inspection today at say 3:30 or something. It's already 4 o'clock. Nobody has turned up. Why? So I would then, those sort of things would happen. And each such missed conversation would mean lost business, lost brand. And each such conversation well handled would mean more business, more better branding, better recall, better word of mouth. And hence conversations have become more important than ever. That's what that's a concluding remark on all the magic that AI is doing.
Just to add on to that, I remember, a very interesting thing that I think we solved with Prince, and that was, cars are typically high ticket items, and Prince, your Home 24 actually brought me to this. There's a lot of trust in the voice. People want to talk to an agent. If they're devoting time and the item is a high ticket item, that trust and personalization becomes all the more important. So, through my entire life cycle as a customer, imagine the experience that you get if you're speaking to 10 different people and you're buying a car. You would not want that. And while the other experience is talking to that same person, getting the assurance, twice, thrice, 4 times, and then completing the purchase, that just spells so well for the brand, the business funnels, as well as for the customer. It becomes so much more easier. And that is where, these AI-based things really, really matter, because then you can map the skills, you can map a particular customer to a particular agent of a particular skill set. It might be in terms of language, in terms of knowledge, that ways. And typically, whenever you sell a product, there's not just one part to it. If I'm selling a car, it's not about selling a car. It's also about selling a loan to the customer. It's also about selling that trust to the customer. It's also about selling warranties, insurances, so those, so many things. And then you want one agent handling it. That is where you're mapping the scale. You're empowering the agent also to explain things. And that becomes a necessity for a business, for a brand also.
Yeah, I could recollect that 1A, 1C, as you call it, is, that I remember. I recollect a funny incident. I wrote an internal note, while solving one of these use cases. I think this would have been for Cars24, if I'm recollect it right. It's been a long while. So said that the customer speaks to somebody, let's say at Cars24, who is called by the name Vijay Dinanath Chauhan. He would always want to speak to that Vijay Dinanath Chauhan and nobody else. He would want that, to hear that voice, that name, every time he's talking about his car, that transaction, and not Vijay one time and Ajay next time. That doesn't work.
Oh, thanks, Prince Ujjwal. We have a question from Zohaib. How do we handle same-day repeated callers? Sometimes FCR, first call resolution, isn't possible.
If I understand it well, this is about customer service query. If repeat callers, if there is somebody who is calling back again on the same day, you can end up, if the system is intelligent enough to recognize that this is the same caller calling in again, you can prioritize that call to go to a specific set of agents who typically handle that better. So in a way, you are actually picking your smartest agents to solve the most complex problem in the fastest way. Versus if you are landing all problems to all sets of agents, then it's not going to work for you. So I would say prioritize such callers to the most skilled of agents, and you can do that with a product like Ameo. Very complex routing is possible. And of course, if it goes beyond a certain limit, a policy, a threshold that your organization defines. So if, let's say, if the callers are abusive, if they're just calling in just for the sake of it, instances, then you can also set up policies or rules so that you can deflect them back to a bot or an IVR, or put them in a queue where you will take care of that their query, but not treat that priority correctly, and not it should not be a false priority that should set in. That's what I would say.
Hope that answers your queries, Zohaib. So we have one more from Shazia. This is for Ujjwal. How do you retain your customers? Are there any specific marketing strategies or specific need analysis that you recently conducted which helped retain the users?
Ujjwal, you have to open that secret drawer with the secret key now.
I think, how do we retain our customers? The one thing is for sure, the car ecosystem is something which is once in a 5-year kind of a transaction. So, the customer experience matters a lot. Now, can be looked at in different ways. If a customer is selling his car, typically he would again come and sell another car in the next 4 years. But we've built an ecosystem now. And that ecosystem would say, while you can sell, you can also buy from us. And that starts from right from the first touch point. What kind of an experience are you giving? If I help him seamlessly sell his car, right from doing an inspection to finally getting the amount in his account to getting the RC transfer. That's typically when the customer becomes free and says, yeah, my car is actually sold. It's not a liability on my name anymore. If I give him that seamless experience today and keep updating him, and that is where this entire solution comes in place, because I'm giving out regular messages to that person. He might want to go and check it out on a chatbot. He might reach out to me on an inbound line, through an outbound line, whatever. If I'm giving him that seamless experience, I am sure rather than waiting to sell another car after 4 years, he would first come and buy another car from me. right? And then buy another car. And when he's buying, I give him another seamless experience where I can offer him a loan, I can get his insurance done, I can and get his test drives arranged at home. That it's a pretty long cycle, but that is how you retain your customer. And of course, retaining is one thing. The second thing is also spreading a positive word of mouth. So a lot of our customers come in through referrals, and that all depends right from the first touch point and the experience that we give.
Great. Thanks, Ujjwal. We have one more question for Ujjwal, and that again goes back to some of the trends that you mentioned, that you are seeing when it comes to customer engagement. So how can we align, some of these with how Cars24 enhances customer engagement?
Could you just repeat the question again, Sanchita, please?
Yeah, so you had mentioned about, some of the trends in customer engagement. So, the question is more around, when you talk about the specific trends in customer engagement, when you're talking about the trends, so are there ways that you can align some of these with how Cars24 is enhancing customer engagement?
Lots of them, I think, customer engagement, starts again, coming back to the last question that I said, it starts from setting up the right expectations on the first touch point. And that would typically be my website or my call center agent. We start from there. We on and we would integrate our products to the social media, understand what the customer is asking for, or if he has a grievance, or if he's appreciating me, then I would go back, I would respond to him there. So that engagement happens on all platforms. So it's an omni-channel presence that I will have, and I will have the triggers set for a customer, and I will ensure that the customer goes off from my plate only after he's fully satisfied, or at least his transactions have gone off smoothly. So I think it's not only on a call, but like I said, social media is the easiest accessible form of accessible form today to reach out to your customer, or a customer reaching out to you. So if I can take care of the customer on both the call, my own platform, as well as on social media, I think that's enough engagement, and that's a happy customer in your backyard today.
Okay. Thank you, Ujjwal. Another question from Satish. This is for Prince. How do you identify abandoned calls which are not connected after the last abandon for a scheduled callback? Can the system throw such data in terms of calls that are not connected after being abandoned, or after the last abandoned call?
Certainly, this data is available in the reports. Most of this data is available in the default reports. But if there's something specific that you're looking at, we can also build custom reports. You can just send out a request and we can build it for you. But abandoned calls, repeat calls, etc. All that data is already available from the reports on the supervision interface itself.
Another question, from the audience. Now, this is quite interesting. I would say, this is for both Prince and Ujjwal. How can businesses balance the need for automation and personalization when they are looking at, rebuilding their customer engagement strategies? Balancing personalization and automation when we are talking about improving customer engagement strategies.
You want me to go first, Prince?
Yeah, Ujjwal.
I think balancing automation and personalization, I think the easiest thing which comes to my mind is my honor reputation management, customer and a customer can come and rant about me, or praise me on social media, and I have to have responses ready for him. right? But that response cannot be a generic response. Imagine a customer who's irritated with me, and then I just say, I've noted down your phone number, or can you please share your phone number, or can you just mail me at so and so place, without giving any personalization, any hint of personalization. So I think that's a beautiful case of personalization plus automation. I have to reach out to him, I have to give him an automated response, but I have to also be personalized that ways. So why, and a use case for me over there would be typically somebody who's gotten an appointment done, hasn't got his inspection done because my person did not turn up. He would come on the social media, tell me, hey, you guys just did not turn up. And what I would do is, as soon as I get him on social media or on an inbound call, I look up for his records, automatically get his appointment number and say, hey, so and so, this is the problem. It was raining in Delhi, and said, which it was in March, and I got a lot of these queries at that point of time. And so unfortunately we could not turn up, but we've ensured that you get a better experience the next time around, and we've rescheduled an inspection for so and so. Do let me know if you're free at this time, or else we'll get somebody to call you back. So I think that's one example of personalization plus automation. I'm not making a customer feel that he's talking to a bot, while giving him all his desired information while fetching it from my system. So I think that's an example that I can right now talk about. And I think balancing it becomes easy. Balancing automation becomes easy if there is personalization, is how I would say.
Yeah, that actually is a great point, Ujjwal. So with automation, I think we have to take care of one thing. Automation is actually to enhance personalization and not to kill it. The worst form of automation could be that the consumer feels that they are interacting with a bot, with a robot that has no absolutely no idea about who they are talking about. They would probably have some idea about what they're talking about, but not who. I think that kills the whole spirit of automation. So I think that is one. Automation should always be done with personalization in mind. Customers, consumers these days, they really want. We are well past that phase where bots were looked down upon as why is this company not putting a human in front of me, and why is there a bot interacting with me? We're well past that stage from where actually companies expect AI to be consumers expect AI to take care of their queries. The second is when it does come to a human interaction, automation, or not just automation, but the entire agent experience should be such that she is able to give a personalized experience. I think that is important, which means the system should throw up sufficient details and information to the agent so that he is able to carry out that conversation, that chat, that call, or anything with the customer that he is speaking to. The businesses end up having multiple systems that hold that information, but that shouldn't stop you from actually showing the relevant information to the agent. Either integrate into one system that shows up that system, or use a system like Ameo. Ameo has a UAD, a Unified Agent Desktop. We can put in multiple apps and applications and then throw up that information in the right way to the agent, so that the agent can have a very personalized discussion and not start with who are you and how may I help you. It should be, I know who you are and I know why are you here, and I know you have been here twice earlier this week, so I know you will be irritated. So let me handle this well. That's how this is what should run in an agent's mind, rather than the agent and customer both being taken by an unpleasant surprise. Yeah, that's what I would want to add.
So one more question for you, Prince, from Shobhit. How can a CRM solution provide Ameo Xstream offering seamlessly to its customers? Is such an integration possible?
Yeah. So there are so Ameo Xstream is pre-integrated with a lot of CRMs. If you're talking about pre-built, off-the-shelf CRMs like Salesforce, Freshworks, etc. So Ameo is already well integrated. There are a host of CRMs that we are integrated with. obviously the form and shape varies. It could be the agent could see the CRM interface as the primary interface with Ameo running within that interface, or the other way around, Ameo as the primary interface and CRM running within that interface. But nonetheless, the integration works seamlessly. These are pre-built integrations, as we call it. Either that, or you might have a CRM of your own, a system of your own. Even that can be integrated with Ameo. There are well-defined integration methods. Primarily being an iframe and an HTTP URL-based integration, that is, the traditional way of doing integrations, or the more modern ways like toolbar integration, where you have both a backend as a front end as well as a front end integration. The CRM takes care of the most real estate, the customer journey, etc., and Ameo powers the conversations within that interface. So these are possible. Reach out to us, or drop in your mail ID, and we'll be happy to guide you with what is best for your needs.
Thanks, Prince. We have a question for Ujjwal now, and this is again in a pretty important area. So, in the context of increasing privacy regulations, how can enterprises ensure that the contact center solutions are compliant while they are still delivering personalized experiences?
It's not about the contact centers then. I think it's about your own data. For example, if somebody comes to my website, they sign up a term and condition for me to reach out to them. And the data that flows to my contact center from my website is, of course, signed by the customer itself. So I think it's about the use of data rather than, contact center reaching out, because they only reach out to data that you provide them. So it's I think more of a question around how do you choose to use your own data, and that has to ensure that you respect your customers' privacy. So I think a lot of people today ask, including us, where we give an offer, we offer the customer a checkbox where we ask them, don't call me. That data won't flow to anyone. That data is not going to be called. So I think it's around that. The second is, of course, even if the customer misses the checkbox and he gets one call, I think we work on Ameo, and I think the system is powerful enough. Once it's marked as a DNC, it is a DNC. It doesn't get dialed back. So I think that's the second level of privacy there. So I hope that answers.
We have a question from Shazia Ujjwal. Can automation really help solve the spillover at all channels, keeping the customer experience intact?
Of course, it can. It just has to. Have rules around it. We build some rules. The most important, the most easy ones that come to my mind is, if my customer, if my customer on a call has told me I don't have a car, I will not bombard him with CRM messages. That means your WhatsApp and the SMSs. Sell your car, sell your car. He doesn't have a car. So that's the easiest example that I can give you. It just has to be one integrated CRM which can work over any of the platforms. We have integrated our CRM beautifully, and I think somebody just asked the question around integrating our own CRM to Ameo. We've done that beautifully. I think Prince led that, and I think we've been doing that for the last 5 years. We've been working on that platform.
So just to touch upon that fact, there's extensive integration. Thanks for asking that. The question about privacy and not reaching out. So not just that, but across the CRM and the contact center solution, there are multiple flows of data all throughout the day. Right now, also it happens throughout the day. Any new prospect lead would flow in based on the choices that lead has made into Ameo. Dialed out the responses, the results would go back to the CRM. The CRM would decide on the next course of action, go back to to Ameo, and also any changes in if the customer doesn't have to be called out, if the deal has closed, etc. All those that also flows in through APIs and everything. So yeah, they sit like one system and not really two systems.
And I think if I remember this, because we have set this up, I think whatever dispositions your agent set, I think they can be flown into your CRM tools like Levitt and the MoEngages of the world as events. And once those events are excluded, I don't think we'll be touching upon the privacy of the customer anymore after that.
Correct. The contact ID and the number, etc., and the disposition from the agent actually can flow into any other system, and then you can set up rules that to prevent such communication from happening.
Correct.
Great. Thanks so much, Ujjwal. Thanks, Prince. I think we're almost on time. And, thanks to the audience for making it so interactive. I would request Ujjwal, to kind of leave us with 3, I would say, best practices, from what you have seen.
That's a pretty wide one, Sanchita, but I'll try to cover it. I think one, personalization always works. I think that's something which we have seen has helped our business beautifully. I think the customers today want to talk to people more than bots. But of course, there are limitations around them. That's one. The second, of course, touching your customers at the right time is the second most and the biggest learning that I have had. I think touch them when you are in their attention span rather than, delaying it or reaching out to them too soon. You would not want to spoil the experience also of your own product. So that's 2. I think stick to your core competencies. Let the experts do their own jobs. I think that'll be my third thing. That has worked beautifully for me.
Great. Thanks again. Thanks, Ujjwal. Thanks, Prince. And thanks to the audience. Be on the lookout for this webinar, which will be available on demand. So thanks again. Have a lovely evening. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.